a defining moment in the build-up to the FIA GT World Cup SJM Macau GT Cup.
And we're on board with the beast that is the Mercedes AMG, a brand new car, hardly tested, certainly not at this track, and likewise a brand new BMW, but that's why perhaps Audi have the advantage. Seen it, been there all before. Rolling start. This is the formation lap coming up. You won't see a better array of GT3 cars in the world than here at Macau. World Cup for GTs. And away the Maserati goes to lead this esteemed field away. I can see Danny internally twitching here, because quite literally, this is where it all begins for a driver, doesn't it? That rumble lets you know that you are in the fray.
It is, and the driver's just weaving from side to side, accelerating aggressively, braking aggressively, just trying to get heat into the tyres, into the brakes, get everything nice and warm on this green flag lap. I think the most interesting thing I'll be looking at is Eduardo Mortara's progress from further down the field. He's got time to come through, it's just how far he can get.
I'd like you, if you don't mind, to watch his start, because we'll concentrate on what's going on at the front and see how Edo gets down to Lisboa, because you're right, all eyes will be on that, because he will be on fire. At least that's the plan. Here's the grid. Vanthoor and Bamber, your front row. Audi and Porsche. Then Kevin Estre coming in from France. Alongside him, the champion currently, Maro Engel of Mercedes. Behind him is his teammate, Bentley Continental. In fact, actually, Adley Fong in 5th place, and Nicky Katzberg in the BMW is in 6th. I mentioned teammate, Renger van der Zande is the teammate of Mercedes, and they're down in 8th position with Renger. And Fabian Plentz is in 7th on the 4th row. Yoshimoto and Bertolotti are the 5th row. Ferrari and a Lamborghini. Great array of manufacturers this year. Chen Kongfu had a good run last time out. He starts 11th, just ahead of Marchi Lee, and then Andre Couto. So the local boys all stuck together, and Passin Latoris, a big fan favourite in Thailand, ahead of Ricky Capo in 15th position. There's Mortara in 16th position. 8th row start from Macau. Is it possible? Yes, if you're able to Mortara, it is. Ku and Philip Marr, 17th and 18th. Tommy Tulpe of Germany, 19th. John Shen is in 20th position on the 10th row, and that's a long way from the front. Alan, how does Edo play this, do you think?
I don't know. I've just been thinking about this while you've been talking.
I thought you might be.
And yeah, it's... If anyone can do it, Eduardo can, but I'm not sure what the target is.
But 18 laps is a long way, as Danny rightly says.
It's a long way, a lot happens. But the question is, what do you think in his mind is the target? It can't be to win the race.
It's his last outing in an Audi. That I can tell you, and I don't know.
A podium at least.
And Danny is somebody who's driven for several different manufacturers, different makes of car. When you know it's your last swan song in a McLaren or a Porsche.
Hey, look, he's got nothing to lose, has he?
That's what I'm getting at.
And you can bet your bottom dollar he will go for it. He's that type of driver, isn't he? And he knows his place so well. But if you look at, there's only one place you can overtake. That's in Lisboa. And if you look at all the speed traps, the Audi has got the top speed. So.
We should have told Eduardo that, because he tried to create his own overtaking yesterday. It didn't work out. And I'm referring to the fact that at maternity, he got it wrong. Anyway, we are about to go racing here. Off comes the Maserati right at the last minute, leaving the field to go racing here at Macau. It's the GT World Cup from Macau. Laurent Vanthoor with 2 Porsches in close pursuit. Good start from Mercedes. Oh, they're balked. Touched the barrier for a moment. But down towards the run towards Mandarin. It is Laurent Vanthoor of Audi who leads the way. Already Bamber looking for position. Good start from Bentley. The Mercedes going backwards. At least one of them is. Lights blazing. Good start from Ferrari. Marchi Lee got away well, but it's Laurent Vantour down to Lisboa who leads this race. Adley Fong on the outside of the Bentley. He gets knocked a little by the BMW who slots in behind him. On board now with Maro Engel up the hill that we know as San Francisco through the gearbox. Good clean start, gents. I really like that.
That's very good news to get that amount of GT cars off the line here at Macau and get them all through safely through the first few corners was very, very good work. Very professional driving by the field. Impressive to watch as well.
I'll be interested to see if there's any damage to Maro Engel's car because he's obviously still at full speed, but he got bulked right at the start there, and I definitely think he touched the barrier.
Yeah, it looked that way. Interested to see a replay. It looked like he was on the outside and on the slippery parts of the circuit. Don't forget, they're still trying to get heat into the tyres.
Yeah. Well, Laurent Vantour's done a very good job already in the mountain section, as we call it, here at Macau, the gear circuit, because he's pulling away and stealing a march at the beginning of this race. Good start, very good start indeed, because they were side by side as they crossed the line, and that Maserati came off right at the last minute there. That must have been a little bit perturbing. Down towards Melco for the first time. 1 of 18, remember. Long way to go in this one. Little wiggle from Bamba. Everybody queuing up. Fastest second sector is by Laurent Vantour, so no surprise that that's how he's gapped everybody. You compare that to Renger van der Zande, 130.8 to his 127.1, and that's the difference between being in traffic and not.
Yeah, well, here's Engel now behind the Porsche. He's right behind him, but you can just see the speed difference. The Porsche just pulls away a little bit at top speed there. Let's see the difference in the corner. We make our apex, use the full track width on the exit. Let's see if we can get in the tow and tow him into Lisboa.
So we are underway, and this is a cracking race so far, but it's starting to spread out very quickly indeed. Renger van der Zande in 6th place goes up a spot. Eduardo Mortara still 13th. But Laurent Vantour is flying. He's already gained 1.2 seconds. Start under investigation. Didn't see a jump by anybody, did you?
And we've got a safety car apparently.
Safety car is out. More drama at Macau.
Now the problem for Eduardo Mortara, and I was keeping a good eye on him, he was clean off the line, but being in the traffic, the consequential opening lap for him was a 2:31.371 compared to Laurent Vantour, 2:20.039.
That is going to be a long problem. A BMW.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Parked itself at Fisherman's, but ain't no fishing going on. Ricky Capo, the Aussie.
That's the Z4, isn't it? For Ricky Capo. 2 BMWs in the field this year. Great to have them back. Sadly, Ricky's race coming to an early end. Very sad.
I don't know if you've ever crashed there, but Danny, that is a fast corner, isn't it? It's 4th gear.
It is. It's probably one of the only corners I haven't crashed at. But
fair enough.
It's very quick.
Do you like how I led you into that one?
Yeah, thanks, mate. But the problem with that one is it's very, very bumpy under braking, and what it does is it gives oversteer on turn in, and it's only lap 2 of the race, so the tyres are probably still not up. If you went in just a bit too hard, and we've seen it over the course of the weekend, not just in the GTs, but also in the Formula 3s, it catches a lot of people out.
Well, I've got a feeling that they're going to, even though we had a situation like this in the Formula 3 in practice, and they red flagged it because they had to redo the tyres, but I've got a feeling now that with this being the race and the fact that we are underway, I got a feeling that we'll stay under safety until they've got this good and ready. But they are quick, they are brilliant here at Macau, and they will work as feverishly quickly as they can. And here is the incident coming up there. Still no movement, and once they file past, and there's, remember, huge field to file past, they'll be able to get to him. There is a crane, as you can see in the distance. I don't think it's close enough to get to him, but that is at Fisherman's Corner. And here's what happened.
Oh, you can see he's way offline on all the slippery, dirty parts of the circuit.
What was he doing there?
Well,
going into that?
There you go. He had oversteer mid-corner, didn't he? And once you get on all the dirt on the outside offline, you have to stay online here.
Well, that was
then you're a passenger.
Yeah, that was Mortara's view. And yeah, you're right. He just literally got oversteer right in the middle of the corner, and he just couldn't get it back, could he?
No, you're a passenger at that point, and it's just a matter of waiting for the impact.
So nasty, nasty impact for Ricky Capo. and that's capped off his day and finished it, I'm pretty sure. And let's hope that we can get this underway. We are still racing, remember. This is how it works. Under safety car, the laps tick down. And I think I asked you this yesterday, but do you do both a systems check personally and mechanically? Do you talk to your engineer? What do you do in this situation?
Yeah, you're constantly on the radio in this situation to your engineer, because he can see what's going on. He can see a lot more than you as a driver. You're just driving around, but they've got the privilege of having all the TV and the communication from race control that tell you when the safety car's going to come in. So it's just a case of trying to keep calm, keep focused. It's a long race, as we touched on before, so you have to keep concentrating, and at this point you just need to keep temperaturing the tyres and brakes.
That's what I love about Danny Watts. He's the only world-class driver who would describe it as just driving round. That's all you're doing, just driving round.
It's actually nice at this point to have a little bit of a break and just clear your thoughts. And just working out where the car in front has its weak points around the circuit, where maybe it'll just give you a little bit of advantage.
Well, here's the view from Mortara's car, and currently in 13th position behind Couto, who's no mean man to get past here at Macau.
It's
that could prove a problem.
It's a lot to do, isn't it, for Eduardo?
Yeah, I mean, it's nigh on impossible, but I've said that before.
Well, the good thing is, with the safety car, it's bunched everybody up, so it gives him, because it was just starting to spread out slightly in front of him. So I think it's good news for him.
Well, and again, at the restart, I want you to keep an eye on him, because again, that's his best opportunity, surely.
Yep, I think so. Getting a good restart, being right behind the car in front as you cross the start-finish line. We know the Audi, from looking at all the sector times, has got excellent top speed, so he should be able to pick them off one by one. It's just a matter of how much time he's got to do it.
Marchie Lee didn't get the start he wanted, down to 19th position. He's gone backwards. Going forwards, Taurus, Hu, Ma, John Shen. And your top six: Van Tor, Bamba, Estra, Engel, Fong, Renga, Van der Zan. And if anybody wanted to create an upset, it could be Adderley Fong in that Bentley. You can see him in, what, 5th position in the all-yellow Bentley.
You can't miss it, can you?
You can't miss it, no. But I know that I spoke to Adderley, actually, after his prank on Thursday. And he said, that's not the way I wanted to start the weekend, because, as we all know at Macau, over 4 days, if you start with a crash and have to get repaired and take things back to the pits, it puts you behind. Now, in terms of that start, I'm looking forward to seeing that again, because right from the start there was drama and action, and it involved Mercedes, who did start very well with Maro Engel. Here we go. Off comes the Mercedes, off comes the Maserati. Now, you tell me, Danny, what you see in terms of how close Maro gets to trouble.
Well, let's have a look, because the start is under investigation. So has somebody gone early or jumped the start? Let's watch that green Mercedes on the left of our picture. Oh, he gets squeezed into the barrier, doesn't he?
By Bamba.
Yep.
Interesting.
It wasn't a hard hit, though, was it? And he hit it square on, so he might be all right.
Yes, well, obviously, and the lap he did was fine. That was the amazing part. So yeah, he's got away with it. Would you put any portion? I mean, obviously he came across, but you've got to defend, surely, right?
No, that was just a racing incident, wasn't it? It's the first corner, first lap, and he was just moving across Bamba to take his line.
Red flag
into turn one.
And we have a red flag here again at Macau. Not for the first time in the weekend.
There was heavy barrier damage, wasn't there?
That's the problem.
Well, I kind of, like I said, you heard me say, I think they'll try to keep it going. Yeah. But I also, in the back of my mind, remembered that when this happened with Habsburg, it was, in the Formula 3, in one of the first practices of the weekend, they had to stop because they couldn't get the tyres.
It took a while as well,
in place, and it's an important place to get the tyres right.
It did take a while. So with race suspended, at least if they were going round behind the safety car, they can keep a reasonable amount of heat in tyres and brakes. Race suspension.
We just don't want to spend 10 laps behind the safety car, do we? So we lose a chance of going racing.
Yeah. So race suspended, barrier repair work required.
have you enjoyed your weekend doing a little bit of coaching? Because I know you enjoy that.
Yeah, it's been busy and it's been good in the Formula 3. It's nice to be on the other side of the fence, as it were, kind of not driving, but going through all the data and the onboard and being completely involved in a top Formula 3 racing team.
Given the confidence game that is motor racing, given the fact that all these guys are within 0.2 of each other, how hard is it to coach? Because if you go to a condescending point, which is here's what you need to do, mate, that relationship is very special because they know that you know what you're doing, they know that you have done this before, and whoever you're talking to, do you kind of tread carefully on how you approach what you say, or is it different with every driver?
I think every driver's very, very different. I mean, some have got experience of this circuit in particular, others haven't, and they've spent a lot of time on simulators learning it. I've got to say, when I first came here, I never had that privilege.
Yeah.
It was literally going around in a taxi at 2 o'clock in the morning when there wasn't any traffic on the roads to learn it. But nowadays, these guys are so well prepared before even turning up at any race meeting, wherever it might be.
And I can think the advantage is just having a second mind on the same situation, which is, I'm sure the driver's out thinking it as well. He's got his engineer, and then you come in there with maybe another opinion, or at least add to that and verify that you agree with it. And that, again, builds confidence, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, if you can help find any time at all, because it's so competitive here in the Formula 3 race and in any race, this GT, you look at the drive list down there and it's just a plethora of top quality works drivers in the race. But certainly in Formula 3, it's fine margins, small margins you're trying to look for, especially now that we've had sort of 3 days running and everyone's very, very close in the time. So if you can find a 10th here, a 10th there, just by looking through the data, who's using what different gears where, or doing a different line here, you're looking at fine small margins now.
Stefan Winkelmann from Audi Sport, an interested watcher on proceedings here, keeping a mindful eye that these are the times, I think, that race weekends are won and lost. Obviously, on track, it's all about as fast as you can go, but a race can be won and lost here in a red flag situation in terms of how you get ready to go back racing and be prepared, because the good boys get it right, and there's not a lot you can do, but you just never know when the red flag comes out what is going to happen next, how long you're going to be sat there. Do you get out the car? Yes, in this case you do, and you have a quick chat with your lead driver. And Laurent Vantour, not got the helmet off yet, but I think he might. There's certainly probably time to do so. Long chat going on though, isn't there?
Yeah. We've got
Start still under investigation.
Yeah, and
Car
we've got
one
confirmation.
and yep. Well, it's Barrow Engel and Earl Bamber. Again, I'll take your opinion on it. I can see from Danny's facial expression, as he said in his original summation, racing incident. Like your helmet there.
Is it? Yeah, same colours. Yeah, Oxford United colours. Brilliant. Yeah.
Get the plug in.
4-1 yesterday, actually. We won. So. But
what? Hang on a minute. Oxford United, what a game.
Yeah, well, we were on a bad run for a little while, but yeah, 1 and 9-11 under investigation. Now, we looked at the pictures, didn't we, and saw a replay, and that's definitely a racing incident all day long. There was nothing wrong in what anyone did. It was just
Well, there is Bamber being told the news, and I think he would agree with you. Adley Fong is out of the car. By the way, right-hand drive, notice. Probably the only one.
It's better to be on the right-hand side as you go through Mandarin at 200 and plenty kilometres an hour, I can tell you.
There you go.
That's a very good point.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
And one not lost on this man. I was telling Alan the other day, an audience with Adley is a lot of fun.
Yes, he did, yeah.
He's one of those guys that gets out and you say, oh, how are the tyres? And he'll spend 20 minutes telling you, which is actually fantastic. I sit there with pen in hand and enjoy it. Now, here's a good discussion. It's a chance for the drivers to get up to speed with each other as well, because they don't really talk that much. Earl Bamber is out of the car, so is Kevin Estra. Now, it'll be interesting to see this start from Eduardo's Mortara's point of view. Here is his start. And he goes to follow. Oh, Marchi Lee got balked from the Lamborghini of Andre Couto. Morning, Andre, he said. And yes, Marchi will not be happy with that at all. That was Mortara's view.
Yeah, just 3 abreast, wasn't it? And
yeah.
3 into 1 never really goes.
Yes. So rather aggressive off the start there by Andre Couto. These are the things you don't see from the naked eye, as it were, first time around. And
start okay from race control.
Funnily enough, then they agree with Danny Watts. Start okay, decision by the stewards. There you go. And I'm glad. I think that is correct, and I agree with you, Danny, that no ill intent. It's the start of a race. You have to hold your position on track and defend your position on track, because everybody is trying at the start of Macau, especially because it's a street circuit, to gain an advantage, because as you said all along, there is no way of overtaking. There's only one place.
I'd love to know what if Mauro Engel's right-hand side of his car and tracking feels okay.
Yes.
Because you as a driver know straight away if you've made contact with a barrier, even if it's as small as what he did, you know straight away whether the steering's slightly right hand down, left hand down, whether it's okay or not.
I seem to remember you did a Carrera Cup here where you had a similar situation. You tapped the side and
which occasion? There's a few of them.
Well, we're going to see Mauro Engel's angle now. And Lifon chatting away. Now, here we are on board, and Danny, will leave you as the driver to describe it from his point of view.
Yeah, now this will be interesting.
He gets alongside Bamba pretty early.
So watch the lights. How's our start? Yep, we've got a good momentum up to turn 1. The Porsches are battling away. We're on the right-hand side, and it was only a very, very light touch with the barrier, wasn't it? But you've got to say that Bamba was just coming across the right-hand side, ready to take his line into 1, and probably, I would say, didn't even know that Mauro was on that piece of tarmac at that piece of time.
I think you're absolutely correct, and I think, obviously, and now you see it on board, Kevin Estre was very close to Bamba as they were side by side, and so I think a natural thing for Bamba to do was to come across the way he did.
Great move down the inside on the Bentley, wasn't it?
Yeah,
beautiful.
It really was.
Fantastic on-board shot, this, of how a world champion starts his defense.
So up the hill we go, out of San Francisco, hospital coming up. A lot of rubber down, as you can see on the circuit. Quick change of direction, second gear here. Look how bumpy it is. Over to the right-hand side, small brake. Third gear left, hug it, let it run out wide. Solitude S's then, third gear. Get it over to the right, open up the left here, get into the camber. Again, look how bumpy it is. Porsche oversteer on the exit. Down to third, loads of camber here. You have to use it. If you miss it, it's very, very slippery offline. Okay, so downhill into police, first gear. Again, very, very bumpy. Look how narrow it is at this point. Uphill, Moorish, another first gear. Up over the brow, accelerate hard, second. Third gear, into fourth. Okay, cambered corner here, Donna Marie, hug it, hug it, hug it. Lots of grip there. Oh, Porsche touching the barrier, kicking up the dust in front of us. Downhill braking, Melco, first gear. You need every single ounce of lock that you got. A great slide from the Porsche, and this is where we find out we've got a safety car, so everyone slows down.
Yeah, fantastic. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was Danny Watts taking you around his favourite circuit, I'm sure, and giving us a graphic illustration of what the world champion of GT from last year, Mauro Engel, experienced at the start of that race. And yes, no harm, no foul is what the decision is, and I quite rightly agree with what the stewards have said. I think that's absolutely right. Bamba involved in an incident with the Mercedes, but it was minor at best. Renger van der Zand with work to do from 6th position for Mercedes. It's not been an easy weekend for them. While we've got a little bit, I do want to ask you about, you've driven a lot of Porsches over your time, and I know you haven't necessarily driven this latest one because no one has, but what have they changed? What have they done differently? Because I remember Earl here last year struggled, and I don't know. I mean, it's hard to look from the outside in, but what have you heard about how Porsche have effectively moved forward to be competitive this year that they weren't last year?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't heard enough at this early stage. But I think all the manufacturers, they evolve over all the time. They're trying to better. But I mean, a good example of that is when I raced here in the GT Cup race. We were sort of doing lap times of sort of mid to low 20s, 2-minute 22s, 2-minute 23s, and now that's evolved and they're down to, in qualifying, it was a 216, right? So that shows how much these cars have come on over time.
Yeah, Mortara setting the world on fire, quite literally, and a lap of under 217 in a GT car is pretty darned impressive. Yeah, it's hard to work out, but they've definitely come, well, first and foremost, they've come with a factory entry, effectively. Matheny, of course, the top Porsche preparing team, and of course they've got two of the, without doubt, best drivers of these Porsche cars, haven't they?
Yeah, you look at all the manufacturers that are here, they've stuck their best drivers in for this event. But the GT cars are only 5 to 6 seconds slower than the Formula 3 around here now. That shows how much mechanical grip and aero grip they've got these days.
I also want to point out the motorcycles are doing 223s around here. So
I'm quite happy with a roll cage around
me.
me.
No kidding. I always love watching drivers watch riders ride motorcycles, and I know that the fraternity of four-wheel racing is a big following of the two-wheel racers because they just take their hats off to what they can perform and do on a motorcycle. And we did have a thrill and a half for the 50th running of the motorcycle race yesterday. So we wait for the resumption of play, so to speak, here in the World Cup. Laurent Vanthoor is the leader of this race. Earl Bamber, Kevin Estre and Maro Engel are the top four. We have a red flag situation. And the stewards have decided that the race start was A-OK. And in fact, once we went on board with Maro, there was definitely certainly no jump starts. It was a very, very brilliant start by all four of the top four.
Yeah, good clean start. No one touched that notorious red and white curb that we can see in front of us right now on the screens.
And is that what you think Mortara hit yesterday?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a big high curb. It's not like you see maybe at the new Formula 1 circuits where they're quite low and flat and you can run over them. These are high, they're aggressive, and if you touch that, then it's just going to launch the car in the air slightly and it will get a bounce, oversteer. And if it's lap one of the race like it was for Eduardo Mortara yesterday, then the tyres are not fully up and go into oversteer and spin.
Here's another look at it. And once again, we go on board with Maro Engel. Now look to the top ahead of the red lights. That is going to delineate the start. There you see them in the distance above the Porsche. There they go out. Now we go ahead. Look at this. Estre and Bamber together. And just squeezed out there for a moment.
Yeah, that was always going to be a closing gap into turn one. But I think he's got away with it. It was only a small brush into the ball. So 6th gear flat, a small break for the Bentley ahead of us.
Oh, he risked everything there on the inside, didn't he?
Yeah. And he had a really good run on the Porsche, didn't he? Adderley Fong and having to go around the outside, braking as late as possible, but we say thank you very much. Whilst he's on the outside, we take the position away from him.
I noticed also the Lisboa bend, I mentioned it yesterday, much higher than I've seen it in past runnings of the Formula 3 and GT race on the inside, and it looks as though if you do get that wrong and hit the inside, it'll pitch you over and possibly out onto the tyres on the left hand side.
Yeah, it's another high curb and it comes from the inside of the track and it narrows into turn one. So actually on the approach, it's a 4-lane kind of motorway here all the way down to Lisboa. Avienda de Amizade, and then it tightens up on the exit and we see so many cars end up in the barriers, but it's really difficult to judge your braking point. These cars have all got ABS, of course, and you're trying to brake as late as you can, but on lap one trying to judge the grip level is difficult.
A lot of rumours about who will replace Mark Webber at Porsche. Of course, in the World Championship for WEC, Bamber in the hunt, Tandy and a few others. And Estre maybe. Cooling down the beast, the green beast, they're calling it. Doesn't look like a beast. It's very pretty, and I love the matte colours. It really is a beautiful sight. And there's the Bentley. Good start by Adderley. There's Paddy Roberts, who's an Englishman who's raced in Asia. You know Paddy, for over 25 years, and he's taken some of the young guys from nowhere to hero. He's been responsible for engineering a lot of the success of the single-seater boys from Asia, and Adderley now is under his tutelage and help. Ingo, Mata, and the Absolute team looking to try to make this the biggest result of the year for them. Currently in 5th position as we look at Katzberg. Fabian Plentz. It's funny how a colour scheme makes the car look different. That Audi looks so different than the one Mortara's driving, but it's exactly the same, of course. So we walk down effectively through the grid here to see all these beautiful machines.
When Chen Kongfu used to race in England in Formula Renault, I did a little bit of coaching with him when he was at Manor Motorsport, and he called himself Frankie.
That's right, I remember.
Time in Europe. But I think he's dropped that now. Now he's racing only in sort of Asia.
Well, I think the first time he raced in Macau, he was doing single-seaters, and he used Frankie as his name. There's Andre. Never forget the emotion in the pits in 2000 when Andre Couto won by inches over the aggregate course of the race. And we never forget any of Mortara's races. Steve, he might not be having the best of days, but or best of weekends, but he's still got a smile on his face. An emotional time, though. It's his last race for Audi. He's racing for Mercedes next year. It's an interesting choice. He's been fighting in the trenches of DTM all year long. Now, here's the whole first lap from the start of this as we wait for the resumption. And Danny, let's just talk tactics here. If you're Laurent Vanthoor, how do you make that Audi as wide as you do? I mean, you saw there, just a little move, that was one way.
Well, goal number one, get into the first corner first, and then he knows that he's got the fastest car on the straight, so it'll make it very, very difficult for the two Porsches, Earl Bamber and Kevin Escher, behind to overtake.
To be honest, I've just noted two very good moves he made there defensively, as well as keeping his foot flat in. So one right at the start, one just going into Mandarin to keep the Porsches at bay, then late braking into here, and that is how you do it at Macau. That was textbook by Laurent Vanthoor, wasn't it?
It is, and even on the exit of this corner, San Francisco going up the hill, he's already got 5 car lengths, and for him, that's the perfect start, exactly what he wanted.
Well, he then put in and put together a brilliant second sector, the fastest of anybody, and that really, it's a shame for him more than anybody that everything's clued back in, because he had just done an absolutely sensational second sector, and like you say, broken away more than 5 car lengths, I think, by the time the lap had finished. And again, the Solitude S's don't change in terms of their thrill factor. A lot of cars going straight on there. Can you explain what happens and why that is? Because the camera angle belies it, and we've seen it several times.
Yeah, there's a lot of camber through this section at the Solitude S's, and if you miss that camber or don't get into it, then it's very, very slippery offline, and that's where you see people go straight on. There's only really one line around this circuit, and if you stray off that line, then you're going to be battling to stay out the wall, quite frankly, because it's so narrow, and any mistake around here, as we've seen, is punished. I'll be interested to see at the restart whether Adderley Fong can put the Mercedes in front of him, Mauro Engel, under some pressure, because we saw earlier on that he was out attacking him into the first corner.
Well, what I like about Adderley, he's one of those drivers, a bit like yourself, if given a chance, he'll go for it. I mean, not all of them do, but Adderley's particularly aggressive. I've been watching him in GT Asia this season, and what was interesting, and I hadn't really given a lot of credit to this, we always look at the Bentley because you can see physically it looks a bigger car. And again, talking to Paddy Roberts and Adderley one day, I said, you know, course, you know, you got that advantage on the straights. It seems that the Bentley's really quick in a straight line. And he says, you know what? Everybody says that. And he said, but the funny thing is, our mid-corner speed is better than a lot of the other cars.
Am I right in saying that's a turbo engine in that? Yeah. Which you'd think wouldn't work around a track like this, which is stop-start, stop-start. But obviously that's a really good package and quick.
Yep. And the humidity is second to none at the moment. Not a lot of air for those turbos. Gosh, this is really a big job, isn't it? Ricky Capo, what have you done?
Safety is paramount here at Macau,
Yes,
isn't it, though?
absolutely.
And the marshals always do such a great job in making sure everyone, not only the GT drivers, the F3 drivers, but you know the bikers as well, that everyone is safe. So if there is a...
Here's Alan.
So we're down here by the cars, and it's fascinating. We've got a big screen at the end of the pit lane, and many of the drivers, of course, they're out of the cars because it's incredibly hot inside. They were just able to watch that opening lap on the big screen in the pit lane, one of whom is Earl Bamber, and he's just beside me now. Team is showing him a couple of videos. Earl, can I have a quick chat? You were just able to have a watch on the big screen of the opening lap. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the opening lap was interesting. Didn't get the best of starts, but managed to maintain. It was quite close between me and my teammate through turn one, but managed to maintain and then just get into the rhythm. But then obviously there's a safety car, so hopefully we get going again soon and we can get some more racing.
Of course, we saw on the timing screen that for a little while the start was under investigation. Start was deemed to be okay. It's just one of those things when you've got these many cars. GT cars are big cars.
Yeah, I mean, start was under investigation for me. We were at 90 and he was pulling away a bit, but they seem to think it's okay, so believe what they see, and then we go racing now with the safety car restart.
Thoughts about the weekend so far? It's a long weekend, isn't it? It's 4 days in total. This is the pinnacle of it. You've been able to take the start, and now you've just got to wait. There's nothing you can do about this.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, to do the safety car restart's a little bit easier than the normal restart as well, or the normal start. So hopefully we can get a good start, and then we see what we can do. It's still a long race. I think there's still maybe 16 laps on the clock, so I'm looking forward to getting back out there. Hopefully they can fix the barrier pretty soon. It's good that they stop and fix it, though, for our safety, and we get out there and put on a good show for everyone.
I know it's a strong, strong car around Macau this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, the Porsche's been fantastic all weekend. You know, it's been a great battle between the three manufacturers, Audi, Porsche and Mercedes. So, you know, we're trying to take the fight to them, and, you know, at the moment we've got one Audi in front of us, so we've got our eyes forward trying to get them.
Thanks so much for having a chat to us, Earl Bamber, down here in pit lane, just by the Porsche. Let me see, Laurent Vantour was watching a bit of the start, the opening lap on the big screen. He went away, he's come back. Let me see if I can have a quick word with him. He's just leaning on the back of the Audi and posing for a couple of photographs. There we go. I don't want to spoil the photograph, but I do want to speak to Laurent. Right, okay, frustration, standing here in the pit lane, just waiting to know when you've got it all to do again. But you've just re-watched the original start. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, went perfectly. The start, I think, would have been the most difficult point for us, and we survived that very well. And now in the lead, I think we have a good pace, but there's still a long way to go. For me, the red flag, it's not so stressful for me. It makes less of a job to do afterwards, because I won the leading position anyway. So.
Now, this race throws up so many unique challenges. You race around the world. There is no circuit quite like Macau, is there?
No. For me, there are 3 highlights in the season where you can really, as a driver, look forward to racing on one of the most fantastic tracks. That's this one, Bathurst, and the big Nürburgring. And those are tracks where you do a qualifying lap on new tires, you feel alive, and you get adrenaline pumping, and those are the real tracks who still exist, and I love being on them.
It's interesting as well that you mentioned tyres. You are all on Pirellis this weekend. Has it made much of a change to the setting up of the car for Macau?
Macau is always a bit specific, but we know the Pirellis very well from Blancpain GT. So we had some time to prepare, and we know in which direction to work. So in that way, it's okay.
You've got a crowd like this. What does that do to a driver? Obviously, you're concentrating completely, but as soon as a race is finished, before a race starts, there's so many people here, real fans of this sport.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's really alive here, and that's one of the things that makes the Macau Grand Prix so unique. But to be honest, when you're preparing the race and when you're in the car, your eyes are like this and you're focusing and you're so busy in your head that you're not watching to that. But if, let's say, I'm not saying me one of the drivers on the podium after, then it's a very nice view.
You don't want to say it yet, but of course, the World Cup title. What a huge title.
Yeah, I think for every driver here, that's the goal, to be a World Cup winner. For me personally, that plus Macau is something very special. But still, everything is open. We went very well until now, but there's still a lot of a job to do, and we still have to do our best and push hard to bring it home in a good position.
You've done a supreme job so far this weekend, and thank you very much indeed for having a chat to us, Laurent Vantour, just leaning on the back of the Audi. Let me see if I can carry on having a little walk down the grid. As you can see, it's incredibly busy down here, and Earl Bamber carries on and poses by the side of the car. See if I can have a chat to Kevin Estre, who's standing by the Porsche. Kevin, these are inevitable, these delays, aren't they? You don't know when you've got to restart, but you've got to stay focused, you've got to stay in the zone.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was a really short race so far. The start was good from my side, and then I was side by side with Earl in turn one, and to be honest, I tried to pass him, but at the end, if I would have pushed more, would have had contact, and it would have been, I think, quite a mess. So I backed it off a little bit, and then I had to defend in turn two and Lisboa, but I went through. The pace was good. The car felt good. So we'll see. But maybe it's going to be a time race if it stay like this any longer. So I would like the longest race as possible because I have two guys to pass. So as long as possible is good for me. But we'll see. It's the same for everybody, and try to get a good restart.
Very, very high humidity today. The weather forecast all week has been that it was going to be raining today. Is it better that it's very hot, humid, but dry?
To be honest, I have nothing to lose where I am, so I would like the rain, you know, because a lot of things can happen on the rain, and I believe we have a good car, but it doesn't look, at the moment, it looks more like the sky is gonna open and there's some blue sky, so I think
sunshine.
I think it's gonna stay like this. But you know, I think we have the pace on the dry, so we'll see.
It was quite nice actually when we just had the replay of the opening lap. All the drivers down in the pit lane were enjoying watching it back. As a driver, how soon do you rewatch a race? How soon do you start being critical of what you've done, or maybe you can pat yourself on the back and say that was good?
Well, normally you look as soon as you can, you know, you open your phone and try to find on YouTube if you can see some video, or maybe, you know, before the podium there are sometimes the highlights turning on TV, so you try to see there. You try to see as soon as possible, because sometimes, you know, things happen so quick that you forget, you are not really sure on what happened exactly, so you try to see as fast as possible and be critical with yourself to improve and be better for the next time.
I was just talking to Laurent Vantour about the crowds that we get here at Macau. There's nothing like this in the world, is there, eh?
It's really fantastic. I mean, to have a street circuit that long, that quick, so much slow, fast corners, everything, and such a crowd, it's really unbelievable. It's a proper, you know, GT World Final, and we like it. The track is fantastic. As a driver, when you drive this track on a GT street car, I think pretty much you can die, and you know, you will have seen and get a lot of adrenaline. It's fantastic to be here.
What makes it even better, you've got a very strong car.
Yeah, we are strong. We were strong since the beginning. We put the car on the floor in FP1, and we were strong. And then we just work from that. My qualifying was not as good as I wanted, P6, but yesterday I had a strong race, strong start, so up to P3. Now my start was also good, but I couldn't get by. But for sure we have a strong car, we have our strengths. The Audi has their strengths, you know, they are a bit quicker than us in Sector 2, therefore we are quicker in Sector 1 and 3, so we can play.
Kevin, thank you very much indeed. Thanks for having a chat to us down here in the pit lane. It's so incredibly hard to hear down here in the pit lane. It's so busy, a huge hubbub of activity, and that's without any racing engines running down here. And let me see who else we can get hold of. See if we can have a chat to Mauro Engel, who's over there on the pit wall. See if I can have a quick chat. First of all, about the start, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's completely unacceptable. We had a meeting with the race director and the stewards yesterday before the start, and we discussed exactly that topic, that one move to defend is allowed, but no two moves, and especially not once the car has some overlap to push him in the wall. And you can see here, you see it right there. I mean,
yeah, but let's have a look,
right
because it's
the wall. I had to slam the brakes at the start where everyone else is flat. I mean, it could have been a monstrous shunt. You know, I touched him on the front, or he touched me rather, pushing me, and you know, just lucky that it didn't end up in a massive crash, because the rest of the grid would have just piled into us. So it's completely unacceptable from my point of view. It's exactly what we discussed, that's not allowed. So yeah, I hope that the stewards will take action.
It's the first time that we've had a chance to have a look at just what the damage was on the car. Let's talk about the car. What's it like? I mean, it is a beast. It says it on the back, and it really is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic to drive. It's so much fun to drive. You know, obviously, yeah, it's been a really successful year for the AMG GT3, and unfortunately, I think you know, the organisers maybe thought we'd be. I don't know how quick they thought we might be over the mountain, but obviously the other cars are quick over the mountain as well, and they've reduced our restrictors, so we're struggling on the straights. You know, we're 12 kilometers an hour down on the straights, so it's really tough there. But you know, we'll keep pushing. We'll try everything and see if there's an opportunity.
I don't race a GT car. I watch racing cars. It's incredibly hot, incredibly humid. I'm just walking up and down the pit lane. How do you deal with the amount of fluid that you lose during a race like this?
Well, this is the solution, really.
Keep drinking.
Yeah, keep drinking, keep hydrating, and yeah, it's very warm in the car for sure, and you feel the humidity as well. You're sweating a lot, but the most important thing is just to keep focused at the end of the day.
The other thing I have to ask about this car, this amazing livery that the car has appeared in. Every time I've seen it over here in the paddock, people are queuing up to take photographs. What were your thoughts when you first saw it? Because it's sort of a moment that you need to reflect, isn't it? It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, not only is this a incredibly beautiful car, but the livery on it is just amazing. You know, the guys at Mercedes-AMG did a fantastic job with it, I think. You know, and you know, having that link to the AMG GTR, which we call the Beast of the Green Hell, because of its development routes that are based at the Nürburgring, and obviously having this amazing success we've had this year with the 1, 2, 3, 4 win and the pole position at the Nürburgring 24-hour race. You know, it just yeah, it's a great thing, and it's homage to the legendary track, and a track that we develop our cars on.
Well, the Nordschleife is one challenge, Macau is another. I'm going to ask you to do something unusual now. I wonder if you wouldn't mind looking up at the big screen over here, because what our director has been able to do is to get the start, and it might be a nice idea for you to have a little talk through it for us, if you would.
Yeah, as soon as it starts, no problem.
We've got motorbikes at the moment on the screen, so there's so the big screen at the end of the pit lane. Here we go.
Yeah, so race director said to keep maximum of 3 car lengths distance. So it's about 1.5 car lengths that I'm behind the Porsche. Lights go out, I go left, he moves left, I go right, he moves right, and he squeezes me right into the wall. I touch the wall, hit the brakes, and you see how everyone now clears off in front of me. So yeah, just could have been a huge crash. Happy that it wasn't, because I think, you know, it would have been dangerous for human lives. And it's like I said, it's completely unacceptable. It was discussed previously with everyone, and yeah, it's exactly what we said was not allowed.
And now what you do know is what it's like to stand and have success on the podium here at Macau. What's that feeling like?
It's the most amazing feeling. I mean, winning Macau is very, very special and extremely hard as well. And it's for sure, for me, it's yeah, some of my best and greatest racing memories for sure, being able to lift that trophy at the end of the race.
Mauro, thank you so much for having a chat to me. Absolutely super. Good luck. Thank you very much indeed. Great to have a chat to him down here in the pit lane, and to get a really rather exclusive look at the start of the race.
Brilliant stuff, Alan. Thank you very much indeed. You can't get any closer to motor racing than that, because when we are still in the throes of this race, because of a delay, just in case you've joined us or wondering why we are on a delay, we had a big crash at Fisherman's Bend, which has to be repaired. Ricky Capo going off, oversteering, and then not able to get it back, and therefore hitting the tyre wall rather heavily. And now a lot of work going on, which we're not watching quite rightly. Instead, we are focusing on the drivers and their opinions and take on the start of the race. And Mauro Engel, to use my favourite word, quite vociferous in his defence of what the stewards told him in the drivers' meeting and what actually happened on track. He felt that Bamber took 2 defensive moves, and I agree with Danny. I think, well, the stewards agree with Danny that you know, it was definitely worth investigating. I agree with that. But in the end, I think Maro is just kind of reacting to the emotion of the moment, and passion's high, you know. But, you know, he's got his opinion, and it's always somebody else's fault when you're a racing driver. But Danny, you had a wry smile. But it is, I think also it's part of the psychology. We mentioned it, driver training. You've got to be in that mindset that you are fighting against the rest of the world, and so when you are feeling humbled, that's how the emotion comes out.
Well, he wants to win this race.
Yes.
Again, and yeah, he's hungry to get past the two Porsches as we look at the barriers, and it looks like actually they're getting close to completion. This race is also not only laps but done on time, and currently we've got less than 29 minutes left of the race, so hopefully we'll be going back racing soon.
Instead, we'll go down to Adley Fong because he's a racer and he's with Alan.
I've just been able to have a chat to Adley Fong before we came on camera, and I said, this is a difficult time. It's so humid today, Adley. You've just very professionally put your overalls on, but you'd like to have kept them sort of down by your waist as long as you possibly could. It's really humid.
Yeah, it's really humid, especially we're driving the Bentley Continental GT3 engines on the front, so it's a bit hotter than the other cars. But I come from Hong Kong, which is an hour ferry away, so a little bit more used to it, I would say.
You're used to it. You look pretty cool and calm and collected. What about your thoughts about the opening lap?
It was good, but I mean the factory guys are in their own class and I'm in my own class, so just try to keep the position, keep it out of the walls, and cross the checkered flag.
Just give us a very quick idea. I know we've got 10 minutes until you need to be getting going, but what it's like to drive this car. It's a unique car to look at, a supreme car.
Yep. Yeah, it's a bit bigger. It's the only right-hand drive car. Being in the nature of it's a clockwise circuit, there are more right-hand corners than the left. So every time you turn in, your vision is a bit obscured by the A-pillar. But apart from that, it's just as competitive as the other cars.
Okay, Adley, I'm going to need to let you get ready. Well done. Good luck. Thank you very much indeed. See if I can have a chat to Stefan Winkelmann down here on the pit wall. Stefan, thoughts about this? It is a unique event, of course, and it throws up a huge amount of challenges, doesn't it?
Yes, it's an event which is unique in the entire world. Here we have a lot of people which are passionate about motorsport and performance cars, which are street legal. We are in a very good position. Let's cross fingers that it will last also for the rest of the race. So we are looking forward already to the year 2017, where we are doing much more than this year in terms of customer racing.
How much does it mean to Audi, a huge global brand, to win this World Cup?
Due to the uniqueness, it has a visibility around the globe, and this is making it very special. So it's very important.
And also for your two drivers, two very unique challenges as well. One starting at the front, doing a supreme job so far, and one that we know can command around Macau, making his way through the field.
I think that Eduardo Mortara will do a good job from coming up from the back. I hope he is going to stay disciplined. And yeah, in the front, we hope to stay at the front.
Thank you so much for having a chat to me. Thank you very much, and good luck. Thank you very much. Thank you. So that's it from the pit lane. You can hear it begins to get a little bit more busy now, counting down to the restart. Drivers are beginning to get themselves ready, putting helmets on, pulling up their overalls at the last possible minute because it is so humid down here. Here we go. We're about to get racing back underway.
We'll put you back in the air conditioning, Alan. Don't you worry. I think that was a hint. But he really is giving us the perfect illustration of just how tough it is out there. And fantastic interview again. And we've just heard that the restart will be local time at 2:15. That's 14:15 Hong Kong time or Macau time. And so therefore that's why everybody's strapping in. And I tell you what I did find really interesting. I jokingly said about the right-hand drive car, and you jokingly said, yeah, much prefer to go through Mandarin with me on the right-hand side, because quite rightly, you're the farthest away from the corner on the exit. But interesting point from Adley, there's a lot of blind corners where he's literally looking at the panel. I've got a obscured view.
Yeah, I can see his point, absolutely. And here you can't see through any of the corners because of the barriers, so you're kind of acting on instinct, driving a little bit on instinct. and it's difficult to, like on a normal circuit, you'd be looking through the corner towards the exit. Here you can't, so I can see how, yeah, for him it must be a little bit more of a challenge possibly, but I'm sure he's thankful he's on the right hand side of the car.
Curling Championship getting underway early as they mop up the course here. You like that one? And as you can see, we will be starting at 14:15 local time. Yeah, it's very interesting. And also the fact that it is a front-engined car, both from a balance point of view as well in terms of setup. I wonder what's that like as well. And given the heat he mentioned, and I know, having talked to him over the season, that's been not a problem, but it's been something that is at very hot tracks, especially here in Asia. You know, quite an endurance, especially if it's as hot as it is today.
Yeah, have you seen the Bentley close up? It looks such a huge, big car.
It does, but
clearly it works very well around this circuit.
There's a lot of things going, and I talked about that. I was talking again to Paddy Roberts, his engineer, over this season. A lot of it has to do with how they distribute the balance of that car, and I think the engine has its own role with how they set up the rest of the car. And as you know, under braking and under acceleration, how a car moves from front to back is very important for whatever reason. And that's why this car, over the years, since the year dot almost, has been one of the most successful cars in sports car racing, is because it's got a perfect balance. The Bentley, somehow, with that front engine, I don't know how they've done it, and with that rather large chassis, have also managed to find a sweet spot in the suspension and set up for it to be a good handling car. Like I said, mid-corner speed, very quick indeed. Obviously not happy with the BOP. That was an interesting insight as well, that they're down somewhat 12k, they reckon, down the straights in the all-new Mercedes. But BOP is quite a science these days. If you're not familiar with that term, it stands for balance of performance, and it's certainly something that you, the drivers, talk about with the engineers, and it's how often a race weekend is discussed within the paddock. Now, to the fans, it makes no difference. They want a close race. That's what makes it good, is all the cars being close. So it's an important part of GT racing, and I think they do a really good job, both in Blackpool and all over the world, in getting the BOP correct.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one, isn't it? Because you've got all the manufacturers wanting a break and wanting to be quicker, and the other manufacturers quick on the straight, the other manufacturers are this, that and the other, but it's always going to be a constant fight. But all these people want to see is their favourite GT cars, big, powerful cars, all being as equal as possible.
Now, we're about to get underway, and interestingly enough, we've just had some big news, and we almost got some more. Guess what? The 911 of Earl Bamber of New Zealand has been given a 5-second penalty. Clearly, they were listening to Alan's interview with Maro Engel, who felt a little perturbed by the whole situation, and he's now got his just desserts, in his opinion, because poor old Bamber has just received, and that's a real shame. I do not agree with that myself, but that is the decision of the stewards. They have reconsidered it, re-looked at it, and I suppose, and here's what I don't like about that. We've had 30 minutes now waiting, and I don't think they would have overturned it if we'd have still been racing, because they wouldn't have had time. Well, that's just my opinion, but anyway, it is what it is.
Well, one game plan for Earl Bamber then is get into the lead early and then literally just pull away and see if he can get a 5-second gap to P3, so he ends up on the podium, right?
Yeah, exactly, and it won't perturb him, that's for sure. Earl's a fine proponent around this Macau circuit. Anyway, so more drama. 5-second time penalty then for Earl Bamber, and that will be added to the result. So we'll keep that in mind as he goes for glory. Now, the real question is, though, and here's another fun fact or fun thing about this race. Where's Mortara going to get to, do you think? We've got two really interesting stories. We've got Bamber having to finish 5 seconds ahead of Vantor to win the race, and we've got Mortara currently in 13th position.
Yeah, but look at the clock, it's ticking down. We've only got 20 minutes left of this race, and we've not even started it yet, so he's running out of time fast.
It's a good point, very good point. And yeah, that does actually ring true, because we've got the FIA World Cup for Formula 3 coming up, It's back to Formula World Cup status, as it was back in the 80s. And now it's a true blue FIA World Cup, just as this is, and long may it remain, because this has really changed the face of the Macau Grand Prix, this World Cup. And
so I reckon we're going to lose about 4 minutes on this green flag lap,
Yep.
with it being so slow, which will mean we'll probably have around 15 minutes of racing.
yeah, I think we'll have a safety car, obviously, restart, and as you heard from Laurent Vantour, it's actually an easier way for him to start, and he described his start as perfect. I described his start as pretty much perfect too, and as we watched the replay of it, he really did a brilliant job, and I don't know, would you agree that it's easier to start under safety? Or at least
Yeah, it's simple for
leave the
him.
field?
Get into the first corner first, and then I think he's, well, we heard his interview, he's confident enough to know that once he's achieved that he's got the car under him, and it's really good in Sector 2, isn't it? You can see from the onboard of the Porsche, it was just starting to edge away slightly in that sector. But we know that the Porsche is very, very good in Sector 1 and Sector 3, and the most important thing is in Sector 1 you need to be fast to overtake.
Here's the news. Ricky Capo went off at Fisherman's Bend. That caused a massive delay and red flagged this final race of the World Cup 2016 for GTs. During that delay, it was decided by the stewards, having made the decision to make no further action, that they've now given Earl Bamber a 5-second penalty, which will be added to the end of the race result. Therefore, if Bamber wants to stay second or even on the podium, he's going to have to finish 5 seconds ahead of those challenging him. And if he wants to win the race, he's going to have to beat Laurent Vantour by 5 seconds, which is no mean feat. And I would have said not impossible, but I would say pretty tough. I want to thank Alan Hyde once again, doing a brilliant job in the pit lane. We're getting a lot of feedback to hear the insight from the drivers. Always good. And well done, mate. And he's back in the mood with us to enjoy this. And
it was amazing. You know, the one thing that doesn't come over on television, which is impossible, the hubbub down there in the pit lane. It's not the noise of engines, it's not the noise of mechanics, it's the people that are down there. This huge hubbub, so noisy.
Well, your exclusive interview with Maro Engel has led us now, I don't know if you know this decision yet. You won't know the decision yet. They've actually given a 5-second penalty to Earl Bamber. So
have they?
Yes. So we're just saying, and it's going to be added at the end of the race.
Wow.
So yeah, Maro was quite rightly peeved, and he's now been given his just desserts as far as he's concerned.
I thought I'd ask about the start first of all, but in at the deep end.
You went in, and I love it. It was great. We got a real insight. So, we are back to get underway finally in this, the World Cup final of motor cars. The most beautiful marks of GT cars in the world. And there's also the manufacturer's title. You heard Adley Fong saying he's not racing in the manufacturer's fight. He's fighting in his own fight for the non-manufacturer's cars, and he's leading that fight at the moment. Because at the moment, the top 4 cars are all manufacturer entries, and of course there is a manufacturer's prize and World Cup championship for the manufacturers, and Mercedes own that too, with Maro Engel taking the win last year. So on board with Maro, safety car out, 15 minutes. You can see the clock on the top left-hand side of your screen. That tells you how long we've got left in the race. However many laps they can get in is how many laps we will take to do those 15 minutes, and that will decide this race. Green flag then. Laurent Vantour leads them away, but Bamber got away well, but he needs to. He's got a 5-second penalty. He's right behind Laurent Vantour, and this is a good position now to overtake. Wow, we're on board with Bamber. He comes side by side with Laurent Vantour as they head towards Mandarin. This is going to be dicey. Brilliant overtake by Bamber. How do you do? Oh, no, 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 no. Macau strikes again, and the horrible awful, horrible sight of Laurent Vantour upside down and in flames almost, it looks, as Macau ends for him in a dramatic way. Laurent Vantour, let's hold our breath, folks, that he's okay. Red flag, quite rightly. But I have not seen a GT car, and look at that. Fantastic. The crowd roar.
The crowd.
And Laurent Vantour has just taken the ultimate tour. That was not what he planned this morning when he got out of the hotel. How'd you fancy going upside down at about 160k down the Mandarin Straight?
Even Danny, who's...
Yeah, he's looking completely...
It would have been faster than 160k at that,
yeah,
that
wouldn't
point.
it?
It was, oh, that was incredible. But thankfully, he's got out and walked away. That's really good news.
An
Good to see.
amazing moment when he got out the car and you could hear, we're pretty much isolated behind glass, but you could hear the roar of the grandstand.
Good job from all the other drivers behind, though, to see the incident
Yes.
in front and to slow down and avoid him, because you just don't want a car running into you like that whilst you're sitting upside down as a complete passenger. But good job, everybody from behind.
My goodness.
Here's another look. They were side by side, a brilliant overtake by Bamber. Vantour then gets behind Bamber, and I think also he touched the inside, just what Lyons did. That was the mistake. He tried to tuck in behind Bamber, then went too far to the inside, and there you see it. Look at the sparks flying inside the cockpit as well. Look at the wheels still spinning. What a moment.
My
Amazing
goodness.
by angle to avoid him, as you say, Danny. And likewise, Renger van der Zand, and no driver wants to see that. And certainly not this man. The head of Audi Sport is perplexed, as we all are. And as you can see, Laurent Vantour walking out and away, almost dazed and confused, I'm sure, that everything was going perfectly. And that is motor racing, and that is what Macau is all about. 1 minute, you are the hero of the day, and you are looking pretty to be a world champion. The next, you're upside down, just outside the Mandarin Hotel. Unbelievable. And he's okay, as you can see. But he's taken a good look at surveying the damage.
Just goes to show the strength of that Audi is immense.
Isn't it incredible? Absolutely incredible. The distance it travelled, the way it's finished up.
He was actually really lucky, because once he hit the barrier, which, yes, it was pretty hard, it sort of scrubbed off its own speed going down the straight. So, you know, it would have been worse if it had bounced off the barrier to the other side of the track, hit that barrier and bounced across, but it scrubbed off a lot of its own energy.
Couldn't help think of Dumbrek at Le Mans at that moment.
Me too, yeah.
There you go. Big moments in motor racing, and I think that'll be replayed many a time as we take a look at the 89 of Yoshimoto coming into the pits. And
It's only 11 minutes left of this race.
yeah, we are, I said it, Lady Luck and the Macau Grand Prix. The circuit didn't want to be raced today. Let's take a look at what Bamber saw, because obviously, I think with Earl Bamber on board, here we are. Here's Earl's overtake, and again, Danny, I'll let you take it.
So Earl's had a really good run through turn one. We've got some good momentum on the Audi, and we're going to pull out left-hand side around the... Oh, we nearly touched, don't we? So we gain the position, and that will be the... Oh, here we go. Here's a good camera view. We've turned in, and,
Yep.
well, it's clear to say that he's clipped that apex curb, exactly like Eduardo Mortara did yesterday on the first corner of the first lap. But
And
he
exactly what Richard Lyons did as well, which caused a similar incident.
He wasn't as lucky as Richard, though, in that he hit the barrier and that launched the car up in the air. But yeah, it's yeah, those curbs are big and they're high, and you can see it launches the car.
I have to say, hats off to Race Direction as well. You guys are doing a brilliant job of letting us see this in graphic illustration onboards, brilliantly done, both front and back. It doesn't get any closer. We're not missing anything today. And Lauren's not done yet. It's like, can I have my car back? He's trying to find a way out. He's headed towards the Landmark Hotel, which is on the right. Might stop in for a cup of tea, but what a moment. I've seen some dramatic incidents and unexpected incidents, but I don't think I've ever seen the leader of the race go out in such spectacular fashion.
No, that was a breathtaking moment, breath-holding moment.
And I still don't understand why that curve is why it is on the inside. I know it's to discourage you from hitting it, but it's caused a lot of problems this weekend. Lots to talk about. So everybody gets back into mode. And how hard is it as a driver, Danny? Obviously, when you see incidents like that, you know, it's got to be hard to get your concentration back, hasn't it?
Well, you need that fan on in the car. Maro Engel having the... Here we go. Let's have one more look.
Great overtake by Bamber. Boy, did he get some drive.
And look how it makes the car bounce, and then it throws it. So it's a carbon copy of yesterday's Eduardo Mortara incident at Turn 1, apart from he stayed on all four wheels.
Tell you what, though, the roll cage doing its job.
Well, this is incredible, the amount of distance that it carries on the roof. And he's able to, after some extrication, get himself out of the car. Absolutely astonishing.
As a driver, this is where you'd be thinking, please no one hit me,
Yeah,
please
yeah,
no one drive into me.
Yeah.
And also you would be a little disorientated as well. All of a sudden you're upside down.
And they almost touched there, didn't they? Bamber. Now watch the inside curve again this time. You see it very graphically, how it bounces him there across, oversteering him into the wall, and there's no turning back. Horrible, horrible moment.
I still don't fully understand how a driver is able to get himself out of the car when it's upside down, because that can't be particularly easy, particularly when you need to get out.
Strapped in.
Oh, I've done it a couple of times.
Right, so how do you do it?
Yeah, but it was in a single-seater. I've rolled a couple of cars, and yeah, it's a weird experience sitting upside down in a gravel trap at Brands Hatch. And where was it? Oh, Alton Park in Formula Renault 2000.
I remember it well.
Is that why you chose 69? Just so that either way we knew which one had gone on?
Read the number, yeah, that's right. Certainly not how you want to get out of a race car, that's for sure.
No.
So, race suspended.
And very relieved that those little flashes of fire that we saw from the back of the car didn't manifest themselves anymore.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Really horrible.
Starting to
horrible.
Bubble up.
And I'm pretty sure that Lauren would have been aware of that as well, all those sparks inside the car.
Yeah, let's not forget, most categories that are run by the FIA make you, sometimes they test you to see if you can get out of the car in a certain number of seconds.
Yeah, there's a minimum amount of
time.
So
if the car's on fire, etc.
Let's have another look from Engel's angle now. Here's the start. Maro Engel through the first corner. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, well, he didn't have a great restart, did he? And we've gone green now, and he's still trying to get heat into those front tyres, look. And we're a good 10 car lengths back. Now, this will be really interesting. Let's have a look from his point of view.
Yeah, and he knows. Yeah, and he now knows what's happened, and he is literally wondering which way to turn. And he goes right, and very smart move, because he could see that the car was drifting in a trajectory towards the right, so he quickly reacted and went left, and that was a brilliant onboard. The director's doing a brilliant job of letting us know exactly how that all played out, but great reactions by Maro, because that could have been a whole different story if it had continued on the path that he was on.
Yeah, but it's amazing as a driver, though, because those situations, to us watching, okay, we've slowed it down and it happens so quick, but you're ready and your instinct takes over, and you can sort of read where the car's going to end up, you know, from where its starting point. You can tell the trajectory of the car and where it's going to be.
Yeah, but the speed at which you've got to take the decision and stick to it, it's quite remarkable. Reactionary speeds.
But honestly, like, from a positive point of view, I mean, it was a bad-looking accident, but the way that it distinguished its own energy and slid across the track, slowing down, was the best way for it to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's a great advert to Audi and their R8, just how well it stood up to that incident. I could look at that all day. Here's another look from our perspective, in other words, how we first saw it. As we wait on the restart of this race. Here it is. Here's Bamber. Bamber comes through Mandarin after a great overtake. Vantor just clips the inside and just once it was the loss of the rear wing was what I think caused the car to lift up.
Yeah, at this point though it lands fairly square on the roof, and now this is good news because it's only going to slide down the circuit and distinguish all its speed, and it's going at such a speed that everyone else can see it and adapt accordingly and miss the car. So okay, it's a bad accident, but in a way it was a good one to distinguish all its energy out the car.
Do you want to hear the irony of all of this? Just seen the graphic that says the race will not be restarted. And by my calculations, that means that Kevin Estre, well, I'm presuming, I don't know, we'll have to work this out now.
Well, yeah.
Or Laurent Vantor is the winner of this race.
Normally they go back a lap.
They would go back a lap.
So it's Laurent Vantor then.
Laurent Vantor.
Which is incredible. The race will not be restarted. That's official now. So wherever you're tuning in around the world, this unbelievable finish to the World Cup final, and it will not be restarted, and therefore Laurent Vantor has become world champion upside down and out of this race. An incredible set of circumstances, but in a weird way, one I think somewhat deserving, because Laurent Vantor was leading this race. Earl Bamber needed 5 seconds to beat him because he was penalised, and off comes the helmet, and he's probably not too happy. And everybody a little bit confused as to what's happened. Bamber asking the team, and he's out. And he's not happy, and the camera's chasing him, and I don't think you're the smartest thing to do is chase Earl Bamber around with a camera when he's in that mood. But, yeah, I can understand his frustration because he had this to do, and he thought he could do this. He certainly wanted to give it a try, and so too did this man, Kevin Estre. And
who was going really well.
Really well indeed. Wow, what a day.
Alan, I don't know.
If you've just tuned in and you're thinking this is a strange race, you should have been here at 8:30.
I don't know. It's a quite unique day that we've had here at Macau today. So many twists and turns. It's the script of a soap opera today.
I mean, I'm trying to say on many occasions that this is Macau and this is what happens, but to be honest, in all my 23 years of coming here, I have never seen a day like today.
No.
And the crowd, I think, are just getting the news that Kevin Estre and the rest of the teams are getting, which is no restart. But, and the reason for that, so you understand, is that we have the World Cup of Formula 3 as well.
We do. There's a lot of explaining to do down there in pit lane. There's a lot of discussions that will continue down there in pit lane as well.
Now, before I jump the gun, it's not official.
No.
They will be talking about it, I'm sure, till who knows? Till the sun. No, 5:41, the sun goes down.
There'll be a lot of discussion taking place.
But yes, obviously it has to be discussed. We can't. The presumption would be that Lauren will win, and that's what the graphics have said, and MST Timing has shown us that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is the result. We will give it to you as soon as we know it, and no one, as you can see, Liz, Audi, they don't know. Bamber's gone off in a huff, so to speak, and meanwhile, Mercedes, the beast that is, have lost their world title for sure, because they weren't even in or close to with the number one.
It was interesting the way the weekend turned around, wasn't it? Audi and Porsche proving to be very much the pace of the field. Impressive as well. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Quite interesting to chat to the drivers down in pit lane, particularly Maro Engel, about the car and the way his face lit up.
Yes.
The challenge of driving.
He enjoyed that interview.
You saw that, yeah. It was.
Well, you also turned him around because he was very frustrated at the beginning of it, and you turned it round.
That's why I thought I'd. Yeah.
Dr. Hyde.
It was fascinating.
And look, Kevin. It's likewise. Kevin's can't be consoled either. He's not happy.
No.
He's on the podium though. He shouldn't be too unhappy. And it's a big day for Porsche as well.
So many discussions taking place down in pit lane. I'm sure the discussions won't be just today, because a race like that, a race like we've seen here at Macau today, will be discussed not just for days,
for decades to come.
For years.
This will go down in history as one of the most fascinating days at the Macau Grand Prix that we've ever witnessed. No question. Like I said, I've seen some big accidents and I've seen some bizarre days, but this is right up there with them.
I'm just so relieved, as I'm sure everybody is around the world, to have seen Laurent Vantour climb out the car.
He certainly had everything. Pictures at the start. Thumbs up from everyone. And at the start, Maro Engel squeezed out by Bamber. Bamber given a 5-second penalty for that incident. Mortara trying to do the impossible. And a lot of traffic to deal with. Couto banging into Marchi Lee, and he loses out on a spot. Vantour, though, deserved at the front. A brilliant start by him. And then Ricky Capo capped his weekend off with that into the tyres. Just got oversteer going in and just couldn't get it back. And at that point, he was a passenger. Luckily, the front end of that BMW is long and took some of the absorption. Here was the big moment, though. Oh! And up he goes. Complete 360. And he really did know he was on the other side of the world right then. And here's how it looked from Bamber, almost touching. But Bamber made a brilliant restart to take the lead. He'll be bitterly disappointed. But that was the moment of impact. He lost the rear wing. Around goes the car. Here's how Maro Engel reacted brilliantly. Goes to the right. No, I'll go to the left. And does avoid the incident. Absolutely sensational by him. And that is how it finished. An unbelievable race. Not a lot of laps done, but drama indeed. And I'll say it again. You can have all the Shakespeare you like, but this was true and pure drama. So we are going to obviously stay with this until the decision is made on the final result is confirmed on the World Cup. And, well, I'll tell you what, I've seen some weird things in my time. I've seen skiers come across the line in World Cup skiing. I've seen World Cup soccers go to penalties. I've seen a World Cup final in rugby, won on a drop kick for England. But I have never seen a World Championship decided upside down.
Well, it is fascinating. Normally, the way things work is that it would go back a lap, but you are excluded from the result if you were the car that caused the red flag to come out. So
that's exactly right.
So, I mean, we need to wait and see. We need official confirmation.
The irony is, Kevin Estre, therefore, could be world champion because he is not.
He hasn't got the 5 seconds. He finished in
third.
Well,
what I'm getting at is that Bamber may have been leading the race, but he had a 5-second penalty.
Yep. And Laurent Vantour, that accident was the reason for the red flag to come out. So you would then see Kevin Estre, Maro Engel. 5 seconds.
All conjecture, of course.
We're finding out that the timing screen as we speak is sorting itself out. There have been 2 adjustments, which would suggest to me that they are currently about to give us something.
An amazing day here at the races. And, well, it was interesting. I think the man of the moment for me early in the day that said it all was Thiago Montara, who basically did an interview saying, listen, it's never over at Macau until it's over. It's as simple as that. And we stand here as witness to exactly that, as I look across my commentary position, I can see the photographers gathering at the podium, but there's nobody there because they are still waiting for the photograph that they want of the top three, and we can't tell you just yet who that is. And I can understand the kerfuffle. I've used the word before, but...
it's beautifully used, and it's a great word, so carry on using it.
Schmozzle, as David Hobbs would say.
That's mine.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm having that.
Not easy. Not easy at all. I wouldn't want to be a steward in this situation.
But the world's press are there. They're all over there on the gantry.
And we are live around the world, and we thank you for your patience. But that's racing, folks, and that's Macau. It's unbelievable.
We're keeping our eyes on the timing screen. It has been changing. It's now gone back to 4 laps. So it's gone back to 4 laps completed now on the timing screen.
Yep, and at that time, Laurent Vantour had a 1.8 second lead. Bamba was in second place, and Kevin Estre of France was third, 3.5 seconds behind the leader. Then it was Maro Engel. He was fourth, and Adley Fong fifth. That's a good result for Adley if it finishes that way for him. Great job also from Nicky Katzberg. Let's get down some of the good weekends for BMW. 7th place there unofficially, but not the same for Edo Mortara down in 13th. One for, not for the record books for him anyway, but he will take away at least an amazing pole position. And I reckon he'll be back, don't you?
I think you might be right. Just try and keep him away.
Well, I have seen some things. Also, congratulations to Cheng Kong Fu. We mentioned him earlier with Danny, who did some driver coaching when he was in his single-seater time. But that is a good result. Top 10 to be in this crowd. He hasn't got the experience of a lot of these older drivers, or more experienced drivers, I should say. And so, great result for Cheng, especially at this circuit. Now, I've got a feeling we could be having a result. And it is Laurent Vantour, who is the new world champion. The FIA GT World Cup is won by Laurent Vantour of Belgium. Kevin Estre is second. Maro Engel is third. And Earl Bamber, after that penalty, is in 4th position. Adelaide Fong takes 5th. Renger van der Zande takes 6th place. Nicky Katzberg 7th. And Fabian Plentz rounds out the top 8. Well, what a day, what a time to be at Macau, and what a result for the man who probably won't believe the result. Eduardo, as we know him, Mortara, was 13th position. The man who took pole position but crashed out heavily in the qualification race, just couldn't make it happen, didn't get the laps, and just couldn't make 2016 his own. But can you believe that Laurent Vantour has come to Macau, and he's done it in the most bizarre of circumstances? And I can also confirm that he didn't mention it. He came here in 2008. He was 6th in Formula 3. He came here in 2009. He was 13th in Formula 3. He came here in 10. He was 2nd in the Macau Grand Prix. He came back the next year, DNF. Well, not this year. He's done it. Finally, he's won the Macau Grand Prix.